Hello and welcome to the Passion Driven Pioneers interview series. I'm your host, John Channon, and today I'm joined by Micah Haworth, who is the president and general partner of Northern Lights Hospitality. Micah, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on, John.
Would you like to just kind of kick us off with a brief background as to who you are, what you do, and then the business that you're in?
Yeah, my name is Micah Haworth. So essentially for the past 2 years, I've been involved in various real estate investment deals. And most recently in August of last year, that resulted in the purchase of a 62 unit hotel. So I did that with a bunch of partners. So I have three partners that I run the deal with, and we all have various roles. I was key in helping us structure the deal, get the syndication, raise some capital, and then now it then transitioned after ownership into operations as well. And so I was the one who helped develop a lot of the business systems, helped train in the current general managers, helped find the current general managers, and then even we had a couple of management turnovers where I would run the hotel myself. It's been quite the journey of learning how to not only purchase but then manage hospitality assets.
So, what was the spark that got you into the hospitality business, essentially? Because I think you've been in real estate, other types of real estate before,
Mhm.
but what was it that said, "Hey, I'm going to get into the hospitality business"?
Had a lot to do with the returns, and so I knew it was going to be a much bigger undertaking than some of the apartments I had purchased in the past. I'm currently an owner in two different smaller apartment buildings, so at a 12 unit and 11 unit. And so I had purchased both of those before jumping onto this hotel deal. And I know those deals are pretty great when it comes to the acquisition. There's a lot of work there, and then it kind of trails off, and it's a steady investment that runs in the background. And for the hotel, it's definitely something that's a little bit more active, but then the returns are quite a bit better. So this is kind of my first tiptoe into running a business with like a general manager and a bunch of employees. But I saw the opportunity of a much higher return, and then I was willing to take on the challenge of the management portion of it.
Cool. So talk a little bit about maybe some of your work-life balance, right? You said you just kind of got into this hotel business here not too fairly recently.
Mm-hmm.
What did that look like for you? And then also maybe talk about what the other partners bring to the table.
Yeah. The work life balance is essentially has balanced out a little bit more since the purchase. So when we buy an asset like this, there's a lot of work that goes into getting it stabilized. So at this point, it's already stabilized, and it pretty much takes me a couple of Zoom calls a week to run the business. Before stabilizing, though, there was a point where of the first 7 months of owning the building, I lived at the hotel for 4 months. So not the work life balance I'd recommend, but it's what we needed to do in order to get the asset stabilized. There's a lot of work, essentially being on boots on the ground to understand how the business operates. But a lot of that came with making sure that we're able to set our own systems in place. So we know how these businesses are supposed to run, and so we're training our staff on how they're supposed to be run. Like if your staff members want to do a good job, but if they're not told how to do it, you can't really blame them. And so a lot of that, we had some hiccups right at the beginning with a manager that we didn't do as good of a job training, and we ended up being able to go in there. I ran the hotel myself for several months. We made a lot of SOPs and then trained our staff on those SOPs. So then that way, after I was able to step back, it was a much more smoother transition because we were able to leave those systems in place. The other partners I have, two of them, Tom and Stephanie, they mainly manage the renovation project. So we did a $500,000 renovation. We renovated the whole property. They also help us run the day to day. Tom and Stephanie, they're the ones who found this deal. They brought it to us. They helped us finance it because they have a portfolio that they use to put on write their name down on the loan. And then I have another partner, Mike, who is our asset manager. He's the one who meets with our property manager, our general manager, every single week. He has 25 years of hotel experience. And so he was one of the ones that were really able to give us the confidence to move into a hotel asset like this because he has the wealth of knowledge.
And maybe just comment to how in this industry, in the hospitality industry, how important are the people that you have working for you in that industry?
Absolutely vital. Like we've had some poor general managers in the past, and we were on a third general manager within the first year, which we had a little bit of turnover as far as management goes. And each one, I was like, man, I can't believe, like, is it really this hard? Like, I feel like this should be simpler. And as soon as we got the right person in the right seat, that just became crystal clear. Really became a lot simpler because we got that right person in there with the right attitude. And so definitely staff is key. And then general manager is one thing, but also having our frontline staff. So we got maintenance, facilities manager, we have front desk staff, and we have laundry staff, and we have housekeeping staff. And so we have a lot of great team members that we've been able to find and train in, and they've grown with us. We've been able to give them some raises as well for the ones who have been really kicking butt. And so having that whole team there, so it's not just on the general manager, it's not just on the owners, but we're all kind of spreading the load out. And that really helps us progress forward. And we're now continuing to see us beating essentially the metrics that we performed last year. So we're doing much better as far as performance wise than before we had this whole group in place.
And maybe we just share with us maybe a quick metric of, so a 62 unit hotel, how
Mm-hmm.
many staff does that take? And is there a unit to staff ratio that you really try to look at and shoot for?
Yeah, it's about 15 people. And so that includes two general managers. And then we have one full-time maintenance guy. And then we have, you know, 4 or 5 housekeepers, 4 or 5 front desk.
So it's about one employee for every 4 rooms or so.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay,
And
cool.
it kind of depends on staffing levels for various seasons. So obviously during the summer, we're in a market where it's very much a vacation market. And so during the summer, we have most of our revenue comes in the summer. And so we do staff up a little bit during the summer. And so I think at the most, we probably have 16, and then it slims down to probably 13, 12 in the off season.
Okay, great. I appreciate you sharing that. Let's talk a little bit about innovation.
Mhm.
So, in the hospitality industry, how do you stay kind of open to innovation and adaptable to change? And what are some of the things you look at from an innovation standpoint?
We're constantly looking at the new technology that we have available. We have the benefit that we're a franchise, and so our franchise does come about and reach out to us when it comes to new policies or new software systems they want to roll out. And part of it is us learning more and more of the offerings they have available. So, for example, we use a software called we're American, and so we're a Wyndham franchise, and we use a
Mhm.
software called Rev IQ, and that one essentially automatically sets our rates for us on a daily basis. And they look at the market, they look at our occupancy levels, and they are kind of constantly adjusting the rates. And so being able to set that up and give it the right input, so then that way it has the output that we want. One of the recent pieces of technology we've implemented is essentially, I forget the name of it, but it's a check-in service so that we can message the guests during move-in. So a lot of people during check-in or after check-in. So if there's an issue, they don't have to come to the front desk. They can send a quick text that comes to our front desk staff, and then we can chat with them right on the computer. That kind of comes with when you're talking about new innovations. People of a different generation are not opposed to picking up the phone. And now with some of the younger travelers, that's something where they don't want to pick up the phone. It's stressful. And so we adapted for that of having this kind of texting service so you can text the front desk to solve any little issues with your reservation that may come up.
Oh, that's a great idea. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, would you maybe just offer us a glimpse into your future plans and goals that you have for the hospitality business? Let's stay focused on that one.
Right now, we don't have much goals as far as buying more hotels or expanding our hospitality portfolio. I'm very happy with the current hotel that we have, and it's been exciting going on this journey. Personally, I'm actually looking into buying other small businesses as well. So this was, I did a real estate, which was it's a different kind of animal, but it's a lot more of a passive investment, unless you're in the property management game. And then this step into the hotel got me more accustomed to managing a full staff and managing a manager and not coming up with SOPs and training. And so now I'm kind of taking that step out of even just hospitality and looking to some other small business acquisitions.
Oh, cool. That's interesting. That's cool. Now, let me ask you my little short magic wand question.
Yeah,
And I know you've only been at the hospitality business here for a little while, but
yeah.
if you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about that business, what would that be?
Hmm. It probably, if I could just like wave a wand, it'd probably be adding a pool or something like that. So our
Oh,
property currently doesn't have a pool.
cool.
Yeah, I know. The cost of adding one is not worth the return that we would get. Like we don't underperform the market by so much that it would make that much of a difference. But hey, if I wave a wand and add an amenity to my property, I definitely would do that.
Okay, that's interesting. That's great. So, knowing that this show, right, is kind of targeted towards those people that are going to be maybe in their first few years of starting up a business, do you
Yeah.
have any final thoughts or words of advice you'd like to share with our audience today?
Yeah. Don't go it alone. 100%. It's hard enough as it is, kind of operating the business and getting it off the ground. So if you can do it with a close friend or colleague, or even just having someone who can give you advice, I think that is key. And so sometimes you get stuck on these things that where you're so in it you can't see it. And so having someone who has a little bit of perspective can really help you grow a lot faster. I would highly recommend having a mentor or having a partner that you can lean on and you can push that back and forth, and someone who can give you encouragement. And you do not want to surround yourself kind of in the opposite sense with anyone who's negative. This is a hard enough business as it is, or entrepreneurship is hard enough as it is. Having someone who's kind of constantly nagging you, that's going to really drag you down like an anchor. And so you need to cut the people out of your life who are going to be negative and bring in that positive influence that are going to encourage you in the pursuit that you're going after.
That's really great advice. So, Micah, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you joining us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great learning more about the hospitality industry because I have not had anybody on my show in the hospitality industry. So
Glad to be
thank you for
there.
that.
Yeah, no
And,
problem.
and for everyone watching, I look forward to seeing you in our next episode.